us something about your career in the military.
So I have 2 branches of service under my belt. The Marine Corps is my foundation. It's my foundation of who I am. Once a Marine, always a Marine is because once you become a Marine, you never leave that anywhere. You carry it with you for the rest of your life. Some Marines can pick out another Marine from the way they walk. So, so I was stationed at, I went to Parris Island, for all those Parris Island Marines out there. And my primary job was, I was a cook. But the Marine Corps puts you where they want you. So I had a few other jobs. I was an armor, hazmat supervisor, warehouse supervisor. I deployed to the Mediterranean, hit Greece, Malta, Italy, and I also went to Guyana, South America. We were talking about that today at church. Guyana, South America, loved it. And I lived in the time when art. I'm sure you can remember this. Is that if you were on public assistance, you couldn't have a black man in the home.
That's right, sir.
Okay, so this, my stepfather, who, my mom and my stepfather are still married today, and being a victim of generational violence, you learn how to you don't really necessarily forgive, but you don't hold on to it more, but you understand, okay? And he has a good relationship with his grandkids, with my children, but we grew up in a very difficult time, and we ended up moving from the east side to the west side to get away from it. And I remember, hearing my mom crying, hearing the struggle of domestic violence in the household, dealing with, child abuse, and you grow up and you have a lack of a sense of value. You don't really feel like you feel like you're a mistake. And I think that a lot of people who come into that court feel that way because they come from an environment where there's not a lot of hope and there's not a lot of opportunity. And my grandmother was a praying woman. My grandfather, who's a retired Air Force, they took care of me as best they could. My mom, I love my mother. My mother is a strong woman. She had me at 12. She went on to graduate high school and nursing school to get us off welfare. And I went to the Marine Corps because I had to get away from, home, from Youngstown.
Mm-hmm.
And, you go into the Marine Corps, and then after I realized my drill instructors couldn't hit me because they stopped hitting you. Vietnam was a different era. They couldn't hit us when I was going in 94, 98.
Great.
And I excelled as a Marine. I graduated honor grad, top of my platoon. I was the guide. I started developing some personal self-value. And my drill instructor, like I said, gave me that talk that said, if you think you're a mistake, then prove that you're supposed to be here by doing good in your community and for other people every day. And I've lived by that. And that's what brought me into public service. And since I've been in Cleveland, I've been mentoring kids. Since I've gotten my law degree, I've helped save homes from foreclosure. I do pro bono legal work because I know what it's like to have not enough to fight a good fight in the justice system, and people deserve to be able to fight a good fight in the justice system. So I've served as a city prosecutor for the city of Cleveland. I've served as a prosecutor for Cuyahoga County. I've served as an assistant United States attorney, and in spite of my background
in the military, in which the suicide rate has went way up.
Yes.
I guess it's a reflection on society itself, because I think the suicide rate probably have went up in society a lot. But in the military, I'm sure you've noticed that. Do you have any comments on that?
You know what? I do. And, as a veteran, Art, I'm sure you understand this, is that service members, when we're in the military, we're a very close-knit family. And service members go through things, deployments. My brother went to Iraq twice. He went to Ramadi and Fallujah, and he came back with PTSD. And when you have, they used to call it shell shock. PTSD is a relatively new term. And I don't know if just to educate some of the listeners, the way they used to treat PTSD is they used to bring troops off of the front line and give them a hot bath and then send them back out for combat. So we are still in the infancy of understanding PTSD, what it actually is, the type of trauma that brings it on, and how to treat it. So when folks are in the military and when they exit the military, there's a sense of loneliness that they get. They have to address the demons that they have received from deploying into hostile environments. There are emotional strains put on the military service members. And when they get out, that strain is even more intense because they are no longer in that cohesive familial unit. And there's a sense of loneliness that sets in. And they're feeling like they're boxed in oftentimes leads them to taking their own lives. And you know, we with the Air Force, and the one thing I love about it is we do extensive training on suicide prevention, and we learn steps to be there for each other. Something as simple as, how are you doing this morning, can really change somebody's life. Somebody can be having a bad time in their relationship. They could be having a lot of mental stress. And something as simple as, you know, how are you, going to lunch, and just being there for them, being that family is extremely important. Help them become what they should be. And that's my goal, is I want to help people become what they should be. Now, holding people responsible for the crimes that they commit, absolutely.
That's right.
Okay, and some people do need to go to prison.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I've worked in a prison for 5 years at London Correctional Institution. Okay, and I've seen people come into prison who in my opinion should not have been sent to prison. And when you send people to prison who shouldn't have gone, when they get out, you're in essence letting a sociopath back out. And in my view, that's how our communities have gotten less safe, is that we have sent people to prison who shouldn't have gone to prison, and when they come back out, all they do is they commit more crime. We need to start giving people an opportunity while holding people responsible for their actions.
Brother Howard, you've got our lines lit up. This is an interactive radio show, so we're going to go right to the line. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me.
How are you today? This is Dantes Taylor.
Yes, Dantes.
How are y'all on
Hi, Dantes.
the McCoy show?
All right, Dantes, we're talking to Howard for Judge, Kerry Howard. You got a comment for him? That's what we're dealing with right now.
Kerry Howard, what are your visions in the court today, and how are you going to change the courts?
All right, so let me start here. First thing, on the Cowell County Court of Common Pleas General Division, you have a lot of black men who come into that court. Okay, that's the largest population that comes into the court. Okay, as defendants, there is no black male judge on that bench. Okay, there is no black male judge. So the first thing I want to do is I want to be an African American male presence on the court, so that I can add to the dialogue and conversation in the judges' meeting about our community. Next thing is I want to run the veterans docket. Okay, Judge Michael Jackson, who was a former Marine, brought the veterans docket to the Court of Common Pleas, and I want to take that over, and I want to build on what he's already done, and I want to do some 21st century things with the veterans docket. Okay, next thing I want to do is I'd like to create a diversion program for people who commit nonviolent offenses who qualify for diversion, and I want to partner with the trade unions. I want to create carpenters, plumbers, electricians, iron workers, steel workers, okay, and give people a real opportunity to change their lives by having real jobs, real income, and keeping families together so we can put a crack in that school to prison pipeline. That's my vision. And then I want to add to the discussion on bail reform and the other programs that the court already has in place.
Dantes, thank you for your phone call, man.
And I would like to know how to get on your campaign.
You know, go to my website, Kerry Howard for Judge. That's FOR, KerryHowardForJudge.com. You can sign up there as a volunteer, and once you sign up as a volunteer, I have a volunteer coordinator who is working to start organizing volunteers. We're going to be doing a very grassroots campaign, knocking on doors, making phone calls. We would appreciate any help.
Thank you so much for
I can't see on the computer, so how would they, if somebody that's visually impaired, how would they get in touch?
You know what? Let me tell you, this is something that kind of sets me apart from the other candidates. You can call me directly, 216-410-2033, 216-410-2033. And the reason why I am not afraid to give my phone number out.
Thank you for your phone call, Dantes.
Thank you.
The reason why I'm not afraid to give my phone out is because I am running to serve on the Cowell County Court of Common Pleas, the People's Bench, and as a candidate, people need to know who they're voting for. And if you want to call me directly and ask me questions, please do. That my phone number again is 216-410-2033. And like I said, I answer my own phone, not my campaign manager, not a coordinator. I answer my own phone.
I can attest to that.
That's right.
You do answer your own phone, no doubt about it. Who's on the phone now? You look like you're in still pretty good shape. You don't have no athletic ability, do you, sir?
All right, I ran a 5K this morning before I went to church. I ran in the Cavs fun run, and I had to hurry up and get it done so that I could get to church, and then start preparing to come and see you.
So this ain't just show and tell. This is real.
Oh, it's the real deal. I try to do more before a.m. than most folks do in a whole day.
I love it. Yeah.
If you want to prove that you're not a mistake, then you should do good for your community and people every day of your life. And that's I feel like at the prosecutor's office, I never had the desire to do law firm work out of school. I grew up in a home of domestic violence. I understand it. And so I wanted to be a champion for victims, and that's why I went to the prosecutor's office. And so I landed at the city prosecutor's office so that I can learn. I mean, listen, the best place to learn about the city of Cleveland for a new lawyer is as a city prosecutor for the city of Cleveland. Okay, you learn the people, east side, west side. You learn downtown. You learn where things are at. I'm a foodie. Okay, I like to eat because I can cook too, but I like to eat. But I learned a lot about the city of Cleveland from the city prosecutor's office, and I went there because I wanted to be an advocate and a litigator for victims' rights. I wanted to act on their behalf. I'm from Youngstown, like I said. I grew up on the east side of Youngstown. Grew up in a home of domestic violence. Poverty. My mom used to sell plasma. My mom and stepdad. Did what they had to do to keep food on our table, keep the lights on. And
this thing need to be treated fairly across the board.
Across the board.
Yes.
Listen, if the justice system is supposed to be fair, regardless of race,
Talk
gender,
to me. Yes.
Sexual orientation, sexual identification, ethnicity, religion, left hand, right hand. Okay, it's supposed to be fair and impartial. And if you bring somebody in because they've committed a crime because of their opioid addiction, they should be treated the same way as you bring somebody in who gets treated for a crime, a nonviolent offense that is founded in their heroin addiction and their crack cocaine addiction. Okay, and it's not. This is not a thing about economics. This is a people issue. We've got to start treating people like people and give them help. These listen. The crack cocaine came into our community. Whether, if you're a student of history,
speak, brother.
You know how it came into our community.
Yeah, all right.
Okay?
Speak.
There was no first African American in the kitchen who created crack cocaine.
Speak, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to be honest about it. Okay, same thing with the opioid crisis. Nobody created opioids in their kitchen. Like somebody was prescribed that. Okay, so the thing is that these things coming into our communities, tearing our communities apart, tearing our families apart, causing people to lose jobs, hurting our economy. We've got to put it back together again, and treatment is the answer to putting it back together again.
Listen, I told you this is the #1 show. I can't even take any more phone calls because we're gonna. They got to be real quick.
But I'm not gonna back down. You know what? Can I just add one more thing, Art, real quick?
Go ahead, Howard.
Okay. And I have the statistic in front of me. There are approximately 20% of inmates in jails and 15% of inmates in state prisons who have serious mental illness. Okay, and based on that total number of inmates, that means that there are approximately 356,000 inmates with serious mental illness in jail become what they should be. And that's my goal, is I want to help people become what they should be. Now, holding people responsible for the crimes that they commit, absolutely.
That's right.
Okay, and some people do need to go to prison.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I've worked in a prison for 5 years at London Correctional Institution. Okay, and I've seen people come into prison who in my opinion should not have been sent to prison. And when you send people to prison who shouldn't have gone, when they get out, you're in essence letting a sociopath back out. And in my view, that's how our communities have gotten less safe, is that we have sent people to prison who shouldn't have gone to prison, and when they come back out, all they do is they commit more crime. We need to start giving people an opportunity while holding people responsible for their actions.
Brother Howard, you've got our lines lit up. This is an interactive radio show, so we're going to go right to the line. Who's on the phone line? Talk to me.
How are you today? This is Dantes Taylor.
Yes, Dantes.
How are y'all on
Hi, Dantes.
the Art McCoy show?
All right, Dantes, we're talking to Howard for Judge, Kerry Howard. You got a comment for him? That's what we're dealing with right now.
Kerry Howard what are your visions in the court today, and how are you going to change the courts?
All right, so let me start here. First thing, on the Cowal County Court of Common Pleas General Division, you have a lot of black men who come into that court. Okay, that's the largest population that comes into the court. Okay, as defendants, there is no black male judge on that bench. Okay, there is no black male judge. So the first thing I want to do is I want to be an African American male presence on the court, so that I can add to the dialogue and conversation in the judges' meeting about our community. Next thing is I want to run the veterans docket. Okay, Judge Michael Jackson, who was a former Marine, brought the veterans docket to the Court of Common Pleas, and I want to take that over, and I want to build on what he's already done, and I want to do some 21st century things with the veterans docket. Okay, next thing I want to do is I'd like to create a diversion program for people who commit nonviolent offenses who qualify for diversion, and I want to partner with the trade unions. I want to create carpenters, plumbers, electricians, iron workers, steel workers, okay, and give people a real opportunity to change their lives by having real jobs, real income, and keeping families together so we can put a crack in that school to prison pipeline. That's my vision. And then I want to add to the discussion on bail reform and the other programs that the court already has in place.
Dantes, thank you for your phone call, man.
And I would like to know how to get on your campaign.
You know, go to my website, Kerry Howard for Judge. That's FOR, KerryHowardForJudge.com. You can sign up there as a volunteer, and once you sign up as a volunteer, I have a volunteer coordinator who is working to start organizing volunteers. We're going to be doing a very grassroots campagne, knocking on doors, making phone calls. We would appreciate any help.
Thank you so much for
I can't see on the computer, so how would they, if somebody that's visually impaired, how would they get in touch?
You know what? Let me tell you, this is something that kind of sets me apart from the other candidates. You can call me directly, 216-410-2033, 216-410-2033. And the reason why I am not afraid to give my phone number out.
Thank you for your phone call, Dantes.
Thank you.
The reason why I'm not afraid to give my phone out is because I am running to serve on the Cowal County Court of Common Pleas, the people's bench. And as a candidate, people need to know who they're voting for. And if you want to call me directly and ask me questions, please do. My phone number again is 216-410-2033. And like I said, I answer my own phone, not my campaign manager, not a coordinator. I answer my own phone.
I can attest to that.
That's right.
You do answer your own phone, no doubt about it. Who's on the phone?
Yes, Mr. Howard, I would like to find out from you. Do you encourage minorities to go into law enforcement? And as a 62-year-old black male, I was trying to find out where could I go for training to get my security license and gun license permits. And again, the first question, do you encourage young minorities to get into law enforcement? And how is important is that to our community?
You must have been in my car on the drive over here because I was having that very conversation
Taylor,
with the
thanks for your
Cleveland
phone
police
call,
officer.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Listen to it off the air. Go ahead.
Listen, here's the thing. Like if you study history, if you study how the Irish became a majority in the police department, is that they were an oppressed people. Okay? So what they did was they took their fate in their own hands and they infiltrated and they became police officers. Okay, abundantly. Okay, so that's why when you see police officers when they do parades, they got the bagpipes and and whatnot. Now, what we need to do is that we absolutely need more people of color on the police department. Okay, because if you can get on the police department and you stand for the right thing, then you can hold the police department's policies. Okay. You can correct your fellow officers when they're doing something wrong. You can help educate your fellow officers. So I do encourage people of color to become part of law enforcement, just as I encourage people of color to get into the legal field. Okay, and think about this, right? We all know in Cleveland I've heard it called the name game. When people go to the polls, they vote by name, right? Right. Now I tell you, this is what I got to say. The people of Cowal County deserve a judge with more than just a popular name. They deserve someone who has a vision. They deserve someone who is representative, who brings the representation of the population to the court. They deserve someone who has innovative ideas. They deserve someone who can not just serve one, but who can serve multiple terms. Okay, because when you start a program on the Court of Common Pleas, you start it out, you got to do the research, you got to put it together. That's your first term. The second term is you make that program an institution. Okay, now I'm not saying that there aren't good people out there running for judge. What I'm saying is that you have to look beyond the last name, and you have to ask these judges how many terms do you do you intend to serve? Because once we get these seats, we cannot deal with fighting for that same seat over and over again. We need to create incumbencies so that the entire court, all 34 judges, are representative of Cuyahoga County.
Jury selection. As long as I've been paying attention, I've always felt like the methods that we have for jury selection is always set up in a way to either give an advantage to the prosecutor or the criminal defense attorney. Do you think we need to revise our methods of jury selection?
All right. Thank you for your phone call. Listen to it off the line. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Todd, go ahead.
So the thing with jury selection is that the jury pool is pulled randomly from the population who are registered voters. In Cleveland, you imagine the makeup of a jury in Cleveland being as diverse as the population of the city of Cleveland, and the same thing with the county. When you go to Court of Common Pleas, the jury is as diverse as the county. And then same thing on the federal level, which is the entire Northern District of Ohio. The jury is as diverse as the population of the entire Northern District of Ohio. Now, with jury selection, it's up to the attorneys to properly vet a jury, to make sure that members of the jury don't carry any bias, are impartial, believe that the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. I've been a trial attorney at all three levels of government, and I've been involved with several jury selection. I'm happy with the way that our jury selection is done. I would like to see more people of color register to vote so that we can get them, onto the jury pool more.
All right.
There is a lot of talk about the opioid crisis. Okay, there's also a heroin crisis, and there's a crack cocaine crisis. Okay, and I know about the crack cocaine crisis firsthand because I have family members who have suffered from the crack cocaine crisis. And we have to throw money at the crack cocaine crisis. We have to throw treatment at the crack cocaine crisis, and the same thing with the heroin crisis. The opioid epidemic cannot be the one that gets the overwhelming, prevailing attention. We have people across this county who are suffering from drug addiction from opioids, heroin, and crack cocaine, and that the West Side community and the East Side community equally need resources to combat it. And for the people who commit nonviolent offenses that are a result of their addiction, we need to treat it like the health crisis it is. We need to give them treatment. We need to be patient with the process and understand that it takes on average 6 times for an addict to go into treatment before they kick their addiction. And we've got to be patient with that process, but we cannot just throw away people and throw people in jail. We need to treat their addiction like the health crisis it is.
Early in the morning, hit me with your best shot. Come on, talk to my $1 million. You got 2 minutes.
What?
That's all you got.
2 minutes. Listen, if you want change in Cuyahoga County to the way that your court system operates, you need to be educated on your court system. Understand that those are your seats, those are your courtrooms. Okay, put people in there who are going to represent the people and be beholden to the voters who vote that person in, and even to the people who don't vote that person in. But I tell you this, is that if you elect me to the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas, I will do my job as a judge. And the thing is look, I don't want to owe anyone anything when I get on that bench except for the people of Cuyahoga County. If you vote Kerry Howard, you're voting for innovation, you're voting for change, and you're voting for someone who has the experience. Listen, I'm a veteran, I'm qualified, and I have a vision. Vote Kerry Howard May 8th and during early voting to the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. I will work my hardest not to disappoint you.